Okay, so Nicole, I'm going to turn it over to you. I'm not even going to share my screen. I'm going to have you share screen and walk us through what's happening with you guys and tell us lots of great stories and share your screen. We're supposed to have everyone be eating lunch now while they're watching you with this Lunch and Learn. So make sure you're fed, everyone. And meet my friend Nicole Smith from ClassLink. She's wonderful.
Well, thank you very much. Leilani, can you see my screen? Does it say
I
how
can
to
see your
avoid
screen
digital
and
access?
I can see you on video. So we're good to go. I'm going to put myself on mute.
Awesome.
Okay.
All right. And I have till 1 o'clock, correct?
Yep.
All right.
Or slightly over, or very slightly over. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Perfect.
Okay.
Perfect. Okay. Well, first off, I have to say huge thank you to everyone that is here. We love Learning Counsel. We love Leilani. And Dr. Marino, thank you so much for the perfect pitch of everything that you've just introduced. So I'm going to be touching on it a bit as well. And I bet that everyone talking these next 2 days are, because that is our new reality. I'm a mother of 3. I have 2 children that are still in K-12 and just in my own home district. I'm here in Southern California. It's been crazy to see how things have changed and the new options that are being offered by districts and the things that we hear from our partners and the challenges that you guys have. I'm hearing a lot of large amounts of declining enrollments in K-12 public schools. Families that decided they may as well homeschool or move to charter schools or even private schools because the classes were smaller and the students could meet in person. And I'm hearing this trend nationwide. It's not something that's just going on in California. So with that, let me talk a little bit about what some of our fantastic partners have been doing and also what ClassLink has been doing to help support you guys in these efforts. So with that, as we know, I'm sorry, I love humor, but 2020 was pretty crazy, and it just seems like there was always something new that was being dished up and thrown at us. But what I was most impressed with was really just the response of all the districts that we saw. And one of my most favorite things to do was not just check in with our partners, but I loved going to the CDE stream on LinkedIn, and many of you might have seen it or recalled or even had your districts featured, but I felt like I was blown away by the response, by people coming together. And I felt like it really illustrated that saying, never waste a good crisis. I felt like it was a great opportunity for us to refocus, for traditional K-12 education to evolve into some of these things that have been talked about, to be creative, and for everyone to come together and unite. And I was so gratified to see, I'm going to say new heroes, always heroes, but people really getting the attention and the recognition for all the hard work that's always been done, but that it was really brought to the forefront and the center of what was going on. And I feel like last year really gave us an opportunity for change and for progress. And that's something that we are continuing to build steam on and to move forward with. And we heard, again, pretty much everyone, probably those listening shaking some heads in agreement here, but it was difficult. So needs that have always been coming about were now all of a sudden front and center, and they weren't nice to have, they were absolutely imperative, must be able to deliver. And so with this shift of moving from traditional in-class instruction to all remote, to hybrid, to a little bit of everything in between, when we talked to the IT departments and to curriculum and to those that were in the classroom, it was trying to find this balance between providing access and making sure that there was true equity for all users, but also security, and that it wasn't the wild, wild west, people just using whatever they want, whatever they could get their hands on, districts still trying to vet that when it came to data security and privacy, and then being able to be empowered with the analytics of who's using what, are they engaged, are they even present and attending, what's going on. So how are all those needs being juggled, and how we can support when it comes to all the barriers that you guys have had to deal with, and there have been many. I know this was actually Bay Area, this particular instance, but again, I know that it is something that is not new to anyone, but even students having to be creative, right? Trying to do their homework. These two students were sitting outside of Taco Bell to make use of their Wi-Fi. So how are we overcoming these barriers, and what does it look like? So access definitely being one of them. Dr. Moreno, you were talking about, you know, the team at your district and your school site working with mobile hotspots and how to get connectivity. And I know that this was an issue that was front and center for every single district. I'm not aware of any school, any district that didn't have to worry about this. And then combine that with everything else that is on the plate. So this number right here, 163, this represents the number of programs. So the average number of programs that ClassLink helps manage for our about 1,400 districts in the US. And I asked our team to go up and to pull that number for me, regardless of district size, regardless of how long they've been with us. I just wanted an average of how many apps we were helping provide usernames and passwords for, providing those security and data privacy and rostering interoperability standards. That is a ginormous number. And a lot of this could be just things that individual schools were using, or, you know, teachers were trying to pilot. So it's a huge number. And research has shown, this is a study back in 2018, but I love it. And the problem has just gotten worse, actually, of app overload. So many different resources and programs, and hardly any of them are utilized in the way that they were envisioned when they were purchased. And so again, what are the barriers that are getting in the way, and what are creating those problems? And then the last piece of some of the barriers that you guys have to deal with. This is a map. If you go here to this website, it's k12cybersecure.com/map. It's updated in real time, and it will show you all the cybersecurity issues in the US up to this point in time. And the different colors represent different things, but you can see that it's constant, that K-12 districts are under attack. And so bringing all these pieces together and making sure that people are doing their due diligence is of the utmost importance. And that seems like a lot. And there are a lot of tools out there to be able to address this and make sure that we're doing best practices. And ClassLink is one of those tools. Super proud to be talking about it today. We've been around for almost 23 years. It'll be 23 years next month. And what ClassLink does, we are an all-inclusive subscription, but we manage all the different pieces when it comes to digital resources and applications in the district. So from the very beginning, when it comes to automating the onboarding and offboarding. So a new teacher comes in, or a contract employee, or a new student into the district, and they quickly need to have access to Google and the resources, maybe Active Directory, but a wealth of things that they need to be able to function in a role that's associated with the district. And the second piece of that would then be those different resources. So maybe that's Achieve, Renaissance, Pearson, Mayan, whatever that might be, but the rostering that needs to take place to be able to create those classes and move those teachers and students assigned into the proper context. So it's even more important. There's this thing called interoperability. Might be new to some may have heard it before, but it just means that everything plays nice together. And that is one of the goals and one of the things that ClassLink does through this ClassLink subscription. So the other piece that we have that ClassLink is most known for is our single sign-on platform. So we have over 6,000 connections. That's always being built, no limit to that there. But what we're doing there is managing the automation of users signing in so that you can make sure that it's happening in a secure platform, that users don't need to be bothered with remembering their user IDs and passwords. They just click on it, they jump right in, they get to that. And then all of that funnels into usage analytics. Who's using what? Where are they accessing from? Who's having difficulty accessing? We can show failed logins. There's a lot of information in there to make sure that people are engaged and that you're getting your ROI when it comes to that. So I want to jump in here And in a moment, I'm going to show you exactly what ClassLink looks like. But first, I want to talk about 3 partners here in California, one kind of in central, one in northern, one in southern, try to pick one from each, but how they utilize some of these problems that we're talking about, how they utilize ClassLink to meet and address these different issues. And so I'm going to jump down to that in just a moment. But again, was doing a quick intro on ClassLink. I mentioned how many single sign-ons we had, different ways that users can sign in. ClassLink is personalized by individual. It is not a one-size-fits-all. And some of the trends that we wanted to see, again, with the analytics, is understanding true usage metrics. What happened last year when there was that shift from in-person instruction to remote learning? And what did that look like? And so we did our own analysis of, again, over 1,400 school districts here in the US on what was going on. How were resources being accessed, what was being utilized, and we wanted to be able to understand that trend. So we pulled in the comparisons. We kind of ignored that transition period, that last half of March, when the world was kind of scrambling to meet up with the needs. And we came in, and of course, no shocker, there were 3 possibilities, right? Either usage increased, either usage remained the same, or usage decreased. And so we reached out, we delved a little further into those that saw increasing usage. And again, we took a look at, rural, urban, all sizes, small, large, medium. So here's an example of a partner district here in California with about 1,500 users. And again, you can see how their usage increased over the course. Here we have a kind of a mid-sized district and also a larger district. And again, we reached out to them to see what helped them be successful. How were they able to even increase their usage before their highs of when it was in person? So those 3 districts, they obviously can't be here today, but they sent me some slides and some talking points, and it's going to be Yuba City, a little bit north of Sacramento area there, and IT Director James Lohman. We have Maggie Bunton, Director of IT here Southern California, Chino Valley Unified in San Bernardino County, and also we have Tony here at Merced Union High School District in Central California. So we'll start with James here at Yuba City. This is their demographics and what it looks like for them, and some of the best practices that he talked about that helped their district be able to move forward seamlessly and even increase the usage of those resources was making sure that there was a one-stop shop that users could go to. And when I say users, this is everyone in the district. So not just students, not just teachers. We're talking district employees, right? We couldn't go into our district offices. We couldn't access our desktops. And HR is trying to close out the school year, and finance is trying to purchase and doing all these things. So it was important that everyone was able to access all their resources. So making sure that all the tools that were necessary for people were on their ClassLink portal. And then making sure that not only were they on the portal, but going back to that theme of interoperability, that they were being rostered via ClassLink's roster server. And the reason why this is the best practice is because it helps automate the account provisioning for these different resources. And so, again, some of these great partners like McGraw, HMH, Achieve, Renaissance, whatever resource it is that you guys need, we can get those rostered through the roster server. You're able to, on a very finite, granular level, say, just want to send information for this class, this type of users at this building. It could be district-wide. There's different ways that you can go in and parse out who receives what. So again, you're keeping all the information that the publishers don't need to have secure and private. It's not a big data dump sent over an email. So that was one of his best practices as well. And then this was one of the things I was most impressed with. I heard this from just about every district that we partnered with, but amazing number of devices being pushed out to users who, quickly needed to have a device in their hand to access instructional tools. I know Yuba City, I think they did about 10,000 in a few weeks. I know Chino Valley did about 12,000 in that same time period. So you guys were doing amazing things during the spring. The other thing that he made sure that was taking place is being able to switch the mode of support for the IT department. So making sure that all the resources were up there, easy to access. In ClassLink, you can put any type of resource on the single sign-on portal. So it can be a folder into, internet type devices or resources. It could be tutorials. We have training academies, videos, all sorts of things up there. And people with administrative access can impersonate other users, reset passwords for them, do any kind of tech troubleshooting, and all that is captured in our analytics as well. So making sure that truly everything was switched to remote and being able to have the analytics and insight into what was taking place. So again, those are some of the best practices there at Yuba City. And now we'll switch to Maggie Bunton at Chino Valley, a little bit larger school district, about double the size of Yuba City there, here in San Bernardino County. You'll see some similar best practices and also some new ones. So they wanted to make sure that everything that was being utilized during this time period was adhering to California student data privacy agreements, that everything was being vetted. Like I said, it was, especially in California, not just because we are the West, but it was the wild, wild West. And we were hearing that nationwide of people just pushing whatever they could get their hands on into the hands of their students, not really recognizing what information was being shared and kind of violations when it came to data security and privacy. So they wanted to make sure that everything adhered to that, that there is a function in ClassLink where those can be vetted and approved and pushed out, that they were adhering to that. We have the QR codes for devices, so they quickly rolled those out for their younger students as well to aid in simplicity. And again, also the roster server, making sure that all supported curriculum programs were being rostered automated. So as students were switching from in-person to remote and class and virtual, all that great stuff, all the necessary resources were there for them at their exact moment of need. The other thing that they had going on was frequently looking at the analytics to see who might need additional support, who's having trouble logging in. There's the capability of teachers to see what's going on with students in their classes. So making sure that everyone was trained and supported in that, and that's something that ClassLink helps with, and we can build those videos, and making sure that, again, everyone knew where to go in the landing page, how to access all those resources. I'm Tony Thomas. We're now at Merced Union High School District. We're about Central California now, a little over 10,500 students there. They were doing some of the creative things that I love hearing about as far as getting connectivity in the hands of students. So this is something that they had been working on previously, so it really helped aid them, but putting Wi-Fi on buses and the mobile hotspots, and they have a program called Connect Us there. So making sure that there were as many different devices and connectivity in the hands of the students so that they could continue to proceed business as usual. And then we also had some information from Vallejo. Adam Clark is now the superintendent over at Mount Diablo, but some of the great things that he helped do last spring, making sure that the mobile device app, native app, was ready so that students that were using their own devices were able to access all the resources as well, and getting everything in their hands, and then making sure they have a great IT director there, Lucius McKelvey, making sure that, again, they were looking at the analytics, that the curriculum department had everything that they needed in the roster server ready to go, being used there. So some of the remote learning wins I've talked about, and now I'm going to go ahead in the last few minutes actually go into the live ClassLink program and show you some of these features at a high end, and then we'll kind of end it there for any questions that people might have. So I'm going to jump in to, into ClassLink. So ClassLink, device agnostic, browser agnostic, as long as they can have internet access, they can get to ClassLink. Everyone's login page looks different. It's completely up to the district, to the look and feel in which different methods they allow. So here's an example of Elk Grove Unified. They keep it simple with a SAML login. They have this great tool up here that if anyone needs help, they can quickly click on that and get some login help and assistance there. We have, this is one of my favorites just because I like this cute kid here, but everyone a little bit different look and feel. Here's Carmel Unified. We've got South San Francisco. You see they allow quick cards facial recognition for a select few. Again, everyone's a little bit different. Up to you guys how you want to personalize that page and what that might look like. And then once we log in, different ways, I'm going to go ahead and log in with the Google credentials. Oops, must have logged out. I apologize. We'll get logged back in here really fast. If you log in with Google credentials, they do need to be logged into Google, or it's not going to work there. So we'll get this refreshed. I might turn my camera off, Leilani, at this point, just because it helps everything load a lot faster. So
yeah, good idea.
Come back there. Thank you.
Yeah, it's loading. It's loading fine right now.
Okay, yeah. Perfect. All right, so here's ClassLink. Here is an example of a single sign-on dashboard. So these programs, like I said, not a one-size-fits-all. They can be pushed out by building, by course, by classroom, district-wide, individual user, automatically through the roster server. There's a lot of different ways to quickly get these in the hands of the specific groups of users who need them. And then once they log in, it's just a point click, right? That's what single sign-on does, manages those user credentials. So users don't have to worry about that, all that's being automated on the back end for them. You can also push out things like folders. So something like library resources doesn't have to just be a single app. So if you wanted to easily group something together, library resources is very popular. We joke about if you build it, they will come. We have found that if you put a connection for it up on the dashboard, users are going to come in here and they're going to get that access. Let me move this out of my way. We can also have things like HR links or staff resources. So again, doesn't have to be something that's specifically just for a teacher or a student. You can push these out by groups or profiles, however you want. What I do want to come in here and show you that was super helpful this spring when everything went to remote. We have a teacher console in here called My Classrooms. The information is fed from your student information system into our roster server and then into the dashboard. And in here, a teacher can see all their classes and the students that are associated with those classes. They can come in here, push out announcements, personalize this however they want to see. But here's one of the key differences and things that really helped adhere to the data security and privacy standards. And that is, there are a lot of tools out there, but ClassLink's approach to this is only the resources that have been vetted by the district may be added by a teacher to students in their class. And so that is a way to make sure, again, that things are meeting those standards that need to be met. And so something that can be done in the ClassLink library is custom libraries. So a teacher can come in here, and once it's been vetted by the district, they can come in and they can assign out and utilize whatever resources they want to their students, and it will update in real time. And then the students have access to those resources. So it's kind of the best of both worlds, some security and data privacy, and also flexibility for the teachers to come in and add additional resources other than what has already been added by the district or themselves to their dashboard. Something new, discussion boards. So teachers can start discussion boards in here in threads, and all of this is pulled into our analytics. So you can see who's being, involved and engaged, or who continuously might not be, and who we want to reach out to. In the students section, they can come in here and reset student passwords. They can see in-depth analytics on each student individually. If they have quick cards, they can manage them in here. Or something new that we pushed out this spring is our login heat map. So in real time, being able to see who's logged in from their classes that day, and not just who's logged in, but where they're spending their time. Well, 4 hours is a lot of time for Khan Academy. The students did some reflex math and some Nearpod. So a lot of different stuff varies, right, depending on what they do for the day. All of this can be exported as well, custom time frame, and teachers are also empowered to see this information by classes for all their classes at one glance instead of just specifics. So those are some of the tools that we pushed out to help teachers with remote learning. We have district partners using that to report back attendance to the state. A lot of different flexibility and creativity in that when it comes to those different features. The other thing I'm going to show for just a couple minutes is what the analytics look like district-wide. So I have full administrative rights which means that I can jump around and become other people. So that was one of those features I was talking about when it came to remote tech support, being able to impersonate others, launch things as them, and then have that show up in the analytics so that, you know, again, for data privacy, being able to track all that. So when the usage analytics comes for a school district, so you can come in here and see how many logins for the day, what that looks like over time. If you've been with us for more than a year, you can run historical analysis. But right here is a quick synopsis of how many times this app has been launched, total time users have spent in the application, showing you average, and then all of that can be drilled down all the way to the individual level. So I could go into this application, see how much the licenses are costing, time left in subscription. I could see total usage for any frame of time I want. And I can also drill down by school. And once I get into the school, like I said, I can drill down to a specific group of users, all the way down to an individual user if I want. So a lot of granular information in here. And then also, I showed you guys those login heat maps. Sorry, I was trying to see if it would load fast enough. In the login heat maps, if you come in here, let me go into schools. I showed you guys in the teacher console what a teacher could see for their class. This would be an example of what could be seen by district. So the darker the blue, the more of the expected number of users have logged in. A lighter blue means less users there. And again, if I was to click on any of this, it would drill down all the way down to an individual user. And you can also see app usage at a school level. And then if I click on that, it'll drill down also into a role. I'm trying to get it to do faster. And then if it wants to pull up for me, sorry, I've got girls upstairs doing their Google Classrooms, so pull on the internet. I can click on that individual student. Oh, good, did it just in time. And it'll show me a list of their applications. So this has been really handy for IEPs and parent-teacher conferences and being able to report back, because I know a lot of parents are concerned about what's going on and what are their students learning and what are they accessing while they're not in the classroom and things are going virtually and remote. So there's a lot more information in here, but I'm almost at my time. If anyone has any questions, I know my contact information will be shared by Learning Counsel, and I also have it pulled up. Let's see, I think we got it here on our slides. So I'm Nicole Smith. I'm Vice President of Instructional Technology over the West here at ClassLink. We also have Jill Koss, our Regional Manager, but feel free to reach out. If you have any questions, we'd be happy to share more. But speaking of questions, Leilani, I'm going to turn it over to you and see if anyone has any questions or anything that I can answer.
Okay, so I'm looking for questions, people. Anybody that's on the line, you're supposed to be raising your hand or putting a little something in chat or the QA. I'm checking to make sure. It looks like we've answered other questions already. I don't have any questions specifically for you, Nicole, but that doesn't mean people aren't going to for a while and then ask them later. You know, the whole thing about what you guys have done to bring order is exciting. You know, I remember those early days when people were like, "What? We could have one login."
Isn't it crazy how quickly and how far, right? When companies and vendors and publishers work together with the school district, what we're able to achieve. So we're excited about it. We thank you guys for being great partners. I know I saw a few partners on here. That's how we're able to, you know, be the best in the industry, is by insight and working together with you guys. So again, we thank you so much. And Leilani, thank you for this opportunity to share more. And I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen for the next person. Thanks.
Good. All right. Thank you so much.